So I was getting ready to pack up my stuff to ship back to the US so I don't have to haul it around with me all over India and beyond. And I realized that I had been having some issues with my GoPro overheating, and I lost some of the video that I had recorded while I was still in Santiago. And one of those things was what was in my pack. And there is like it's like what everyone films that records themselves and puts it on the YouTubes is what's in your pack. So I'm going to hurry and refilm it, and then I will pack all of my stuff up and send it away, and then I don't have to deal with it again. But here is what is in my pack. So here's my backpack. I turn it this way so you can see it a little better. And with my Camino shell, and I had like a little dream catcher on it that had some feathers that have all fallen away. I don't know where they were. So this is my pack. It was a 43 liter. And when I initially packed it, I tried to not put anything in the brain, which is, I think, 10 liters. And so I only packed about 35 liters. This bag was bigger than what I actually needed. I was following a checklist of somebody that went, and I think they probably went like in the late fall or early spring when it was cold. And so they had, more stuff that they brought than what I brought. And so they had a bigger pack as a result. I could have probably very easily gotten away with a 35 liter bag. And it probably would have prevented me from bringing a bunch of extra stuff that I didn't need. I was worried about the Camino shell breaking because this is a real scallop shell. But a guy that I met on like my second day from Germany, I asked him about it because this was his third Camino. And his first Camino was like 10 years ago. And he said, no, it doesn't break. Not only does it not break, but he had to buy a new bag because as this would sway, it like actually cut his backpack open. He said when he does get on an airplane, he does tuck it into his bag just to make sure that like as they're throwing it around at the airport and stuff, it doesn't break. But other than that, he's never had a problem with it breaking. So this is my bag. And then inside I did have the hydration pack. I never used it. I hate the water that comes out of these things, and it would have just taken up space in my bag. And so I did bring it just in case, if there were days that I knew that it was going to be long stretches in between cities or, areas where I could get water. But I never had a problem. And so I never once used it. It was just a precaution. It doesn't weigh much, so it's not like it was adding much to my pack. But anyway, that's my bag. So then I had kind of some of the gear. I had my I did not bring a sleeping bag. I do have one that was like 2 pounds that I could compress down pretty small. But I opted to bring 2 sleeping bag liners instead. And that worked out really well for the most part. Most of the hostels had blankets. And so I would usually just use this as sort of a barrier between me and... I don't know how often they wash those blankets, so... Anyway, that's what I chose to do instead of a sleeping bag. It was just two sleeping bag liners, and I put one liner inside the other. And then I did bring in a blow-up pillow. Although I hate these things, I do not think they're comfortable. I did bring it just in case. It is pretty lightweight. But I never once used it. All the hostels had pillows, so I never had to worry about it. But I'm a stomach sleeper most often anyway, and I frequently sleep without a pillow just regularly, and I'll just sleep on my arm. And so even if I came into a situation where I didn't have a pillow, I doubt I would have used that. So that was kind of my sleeping stuff. And then my pajamas, which was just like gym shorts and a t-shirt, which as it got hotter, this got quite hot. But, you know, it's comfortable, it's modest. I could wear it around and not worry about it. So anyway, that's my sleeping stuff. And then my actual clothing, here's my bra that melted in the dryer. I brought two bras and then a couple of pairs of underwear. And the underwear I used kind of exclusively was these wool boxer briefs. And they were kind of a last minute decision to get, and I am so thankful I did. The wool is super breathable. It doesn't like chafe at all, and it doesn't absorb any kind of odors. And they're long, and so, you know, they just helped with any kind of like rubbing of your legs. These were great. I will continue to wear these throughout the rest of my trip too, because they were fantastic. And then I did wear wool socks as well. These are darn tough Vermont socks. Not just because I'm from Vermont now, but these are like the socks to wear on the Camino. They're super cushiony. Again, the wool doesn't absorb odors, so they never really got smelly or anything. Even, you know, not that I wore them days without washing them, but, you know, even one day, you know, can get smelly. And then I'm real weird about socks. If I put on a pair of socks and then immediately change my mind and decide to wear another pair of socks, I will not rewear those socks, even though they were only on for a couple of seconds. I just am real weird about socks. And so I brought a weird amount of socks. You really probably only need like 3 pairs of socks. But when I was in junior high school, I would get athlete's feet really, really badly. Partly because of like the gym classes, and partly just because it was hormonal changes and stuff. Anyway, I've been really weird about my socks ever since, and making sure I constantly change them, because like even now, just thinking about it, my feet are itching. So you really probably only needed 3 pairs of socks, and I think I brought like 6 or 7 pairs of socks. But that's just my weird. So, but they are all darn tough Vermont wool socks, which are, I never had a problem with blisters. They just were fantastic. So those are my socks. And then like my rain gear, I had my rain cover for my pack. I did have a poncho, and then I had my rain jacket. I never once wore the poncho. I think you could kind of get away with one, or like you could have the poncho, or you could have the rain jacket and the rain cover for your pack. Most people just wore a poncho. Actually, no, I only saw a couple of people wear the poncho now that I'm thinking about it. But for me, especially in the summer months when it wasn't raining very often, I would prefer the rain cover, because I don't mind the rain, and sometimes it was a nice relief to get it was a little drizzly. It never got real rainy or rain for an extended period of time. So for me, the rain cover to cover my pack was sufficient and ideal, because I could cover my pack and not have to worry about like wearing my rain jacket. I really only wore my rain jacket once or twice. And I tried to take it off almost immediately, like as soon as I could, because it like sticks to you, especially in the humidity. It's just not very comfortable. But I never once wore the poncho. And then I had my hat, and I only wore this a couple of times because it's too wide of a brim. Like a wide brim is good, but this one was a little too wide, and then I couldn't see out in front of me. And so I didn't wear it very often because it was hard to walk in. So that's like my rain gear, my outer gear, and then like my pants and shirts. I did overpack a little bit on, and I'll tell you what I would do next time versus what I did this time. But what I did this time was I had 2 shorts. And again, when I filmed these in Santiago, I had both pairs of shorts, but I threw one of them away in Santiago because it got melted in the dryer like this one. And while I still was willing to wear it, I only wore it one day because where it got melted on the edges, it got like itchy and scratchy and would like scratch up my legs, and so it became really uncomfortable. So I did throw them away, but I had 2 pairs of shorts, a pair of like joggers, and then like some yoga pants. What I actually ended up using was I would only hike in my short, for the most part. I would hike in my shorts, and then when I got done hiking, I would change into either the pants or the yoga pants to just kind of lounge in. I was lounging for longer than I was hiking. And so that way I could change immediately, wash my hiking clothes, get them on the dryer, and kind of wander around the cities a little bit without having to wear my hiking clothes. So that's what I ended up doing, was only wearing the one. But I could hike in any of these. Like I could hike in the pants, I could hike in the yoga pants. So if I needed to wear long pants one day because it was cold or rainy or whatever, I could. Or if I wanted to wear like the yoga pants to hike in, I could. And so that kind of was like the winning combination for me. A pair of shorts, a pair of joggers, and a pair of yoga pants. I didn't really need that second pair of shorts. I found it to be kind of annoying to have to swap hiking clothes every night, because I would pull my clothes off of the clothesline at night right before bed, and then I would just set them on top of my bag and have my bag already packed, and so all that I had to do was set my clothes there and then get in bed and go to sleep. But if the nights when I was swapping, I would basically have to unpack my whole bag, pack the clothes back in, unpack the ones I was going to wear the next day. Like, it was just more annoying. And so for me, I found that I just wore the same clothes every day to go hiking in, and then I would change clothes, like cycle through clothes at night after, like when I got to the hostels themselves, and would wear them around at dinner time. So that's what I did. And then I had 2 t-shirts that I would cycle through to hike in, but for the most part, I just wore one. And then I had two tank tops that I would wear at night after I was done hiking. And both of these tank tops are Duluth Trading Company tank tops, and they have a built-in bra. So I could wash my bra, I could wash all of my other stuff, and just wear like the tank tops and my clothes at night afterward. And like that was a winning combination. So I did have 2 tank tops and 2 t-shirts, and I still think I would probably bring that same amount. I honestly, if I were going to leave one home, I'd probably leave one of the t-shirts, but I think it's probably a good idea to have 2 t-shirts and 2 tank tops. So that was kind of what I wore kind of most of the time. And then especially as when I first started, I would cycle through, but it only took me about a week to change that routine. And then I did just have my regular toiletries, deodorant, shampoo. I brought Castile soap because I could also wash my laundry with it. You can use Castile soap as shampoo, but if you do, in order to balance the pH of your scalp, you have to rinse your scalp with some sort of acidic wash, like lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. Otherwise, your hair will start to get oily. And like there are a lot of like people on Reddit forums or on YouTube's that commented on that very thing, that they only brought the Castile soap. They did it for 2 or 3 days, and then their scalp started getting really oily and they started getting build up. But that's why, is because if you're going to use the Castile soap as shampoo, you have to rinse your hair with some kind of acid. So I did just use regular shampoo. And then I had a thing of soap that I took from one of the hotels that I stayed in. So like just in case I had extra soap. And then this is After Sun lotion. I did have a big bottle of it that I threw away in Santiago, but I bought it along the trek, and I carried the actual big bottle of it, which was quite heavy for a good portion of the Camino. And I would use it quite liberally to try to use it up and to lighten my pack, but I never even got through half of it. But so I guess it was good that I had that big bottle because I was using it quite liberally. But now that I'm not like hiking out in the sun like that, I did just put a little bit into this little container and then threw the rest of it away so I had to carry it around. And then I have clothespins and a drain stopper, because not like if you're washing your clothes in the sink, not all of the hostels have a stopper for the sink. And so this came in really handy. It's super lightweight and flexible and flat, so like it's not like it takes up any space. But I do have like a whole bag of clothespins, and I did use those quite regularly. Either the hostels didn't have any, or they had run out of them, like other people were using them, and so like I needed them. And then I did have this travel clothesline as well. I never used it, but it's lightweight. It's not like I was consuming a lot of weight by having it, and if I had needed it, it would have been handy. So I did have that as well. So that was kind of my clothes washing. I did have bag balm. I put this on my feet every morning, or most mornings, to help reduce the blisters. And I could tell kind of at the end of the Camino, I was forgetting to use it, and my feet did start to build up a lot more calluses a lot more quickly when I stopped using it. So bag balm on your feet every morning. And then just regular toiletries, eye drops, mouthwash, Q-tips. It's just kind of your basics. I did have these Lumi, which is deodorant wipes. And I did use these mostly because my Birkenstocks smell really bad. And so after I would shower and I'd put my Birkenstocks on after hiking, and I'd wander around the cities, I'd come back and I didn't want to like get in bed with gross feet. And so I would wipe my feet down with the Lumi wipes before I got in bed. And that was when I used those the most. And then I did have like Continental wipes. I brought a Go Girl. I never had to use it because there was always a bathroom but that's one of those things that like, if you need it, it's super handy to have. And then Gold Bond, again, never used it, but if you need it, it makes a huge difference to have Gold Bond. So I did bring both of those things. And then I did just have my regular like first aid kit, which has like a little thing of like duct tape, and mostly it had like moleskin and blister kind of band-aids in it, just because I was worried that I would get blisters. And then just other kind of basic, Neosporin and stuff, basic first aid kit stuff. So that was my first aid kit, my toiletries, and then my spare glasses in case something happened to mine. And then I had my towel, and this is like a beach size towel, and I will take it to India with me. And I brought 2 of them. I never once used the second one. My idea with the second one was if I wanted to go like to the beach or I wanted to do yoga, I could put the towel down and kind of use it and have like a clean one and a dirty one. But I never once used the second towel, and so it was just kind of a waste. I had my cooling towel, which was a lifesaver, and my buff, which I only wore one day because I was wearing my cooling towel the rest of the time. And then here's kind of my excess stuff that I had. I had a pair of kind of like lightweight lounge pants and a long sleeve like t-shirt thing. I did wear it, but only because I had it. Lounge pants. If I hadn't had it, like I wouldn't have noticed, like I wouldn't have cared, but I did wear it a couple times just because I had it. But this is this and this towel and this dress was what I had shipped up to Santiago when I was in Vigo, and I used the Pilgrim pack and shipped clothes up. Like I shipped a bunch of stuff up to Santiago, so it was there waiting for me, so I wasn't carrying it around anymore. But this outfit was one of those things that I shipped up, so I wasn't carrying it around anymore. So I only had it for half of the time anyway. And then this sundress, which I do wear a lot. Normally when I travel, I kind of almost only travel in dresses. It's like one piece of clothing that you have to worry about. You can wear it to the beach, you can wear it to restaurants. Like it's really like universal. Like you'll fit in kind of anywhere you're going if you're wearing a dress. And you can wear shorts or whatever you want underneath it. And like nobody but you notices. And so normally when I travel, I kind of exclusively wear dresses. And I did wear this all around Porto. I have worn it kind of exclusively since I've been off the Camino. But it is also one of the things that I shipped up to Santiago with the Pilgrim's pack. I did wear it, but again, only because I had it. If I hadn't had it, I wouldn't have worried about it. And then some of the electronics that I brought. A lot of people do the Camino to like detach themselves from their worlds, and a lot of people won't even bring their cell phones. One girl wasn't going to bring her cell phone, and her mom like made her bring it anyway. And so the fact that I had any electronics was kind of abnormal. Most people didn't even have a phone. So I had my iPad, that's what I made my movies on. And then I had a selfie stick for my GoPro, which also like folds out and it can like stand up. And is a spare battery as well, even though I never charged it. So my GoPro ran out of battery all the time. And then I had a clip that I could clip my GoPro to like my backpack and use, like I would clip it to the sternum strap on my backpack, and that's how I would film a lot of the things as I was walking. And then just a random bag of miscellaneous electronic stuff, mostly for my GoPro. I did have a thing of electric tape because one of the guys that I watched the YouTube video said he brings one all the time just to like block out any of like the little LED lights and stuff wherever he's going, but those don't really bother me, so I never really used that. So this bag is also one of the things that I shipped up to Santiago, so I wasn't carrying it around all the time. And then like around the front of me, I had this sling bag, and that's kind of where I kept my wallet, my passport, my Pilgrim's passport, I would keep my GoPro in there, and just kind of like the miscellaneous stuff that you use all the time, like the stuff I would normally put in my purse, I put in this sling bag, and I would wear it around my front rather than putting it in my backpack. I had a tote bag that I would use when I would go grocery shopping. This I think is an absolute must. Bring some kind of a tote bag. But this bag is like a waterproof bag. It has my passport, and just some other, like my Pilgrim's passport and kind of some other things in it. And this, I would put my wallet and my cell phone. And I would take this into the shower with me every day. Not that I was ever really worried that somebody was going to steal my stuff, but I just thought, you know what, better safe than sorry. So I would just put any of my valuables, anything that I needed in order to get home, I would put in this bag and I would take it into the shower with me. And then I never had to really worry about it. And then I also like stuffed in my backpack this bag, which had like my actual driver's license. It had a copy of my passport. It has like my passport card, an extra credit card, just kind of some other like miscellaneous identification. And this was always kept separate from that. So this bag never ever went into my backpack. And this bag was always in my backpack. So if somebody stole this, I would still have that. And if somebody stole my backpack, I would still have this. And so I always kept those things kept separate. I did also keep like extra money in here. So I would keep an extra 200 euros in this just in case something happened. And then my money belt, which I never wore, but I brought it just in case. It's a good idea. And then I would organize all of my stuff in these like compression bags. And so I would put all my clothes and all of my belongings into some compression bag to keep them all organized and be able to compress them down. It also kept them all like waterproof. So if something were to happen, you know, and like there was a couple of times that like the bag I would had all of my shower stuff in was wet. But I had to leave, and so I would stuff it in my bag. And so then my shower stuff was the only stuff that got wet and not everything else. Or sometimes like my clothes weren't quite dry and I could kind of keep them separate in their own bag and not have everything else get wet. So, and then my Birkenstocks, I would always clip to the outside of my bag because they smell real bad. And I didn't want to put them in my bag. So those always went on the outside. And then my tennis shoes, I threw away in Santiago because I never wanted to ever wear them ever again. And so after I filmed, the last time I filmed what was in my pack, I pitched them. And so I don't have them to show, unfortunately. But I did have tennis shoes, and that was what I hiked in. And then I would take my tennis shoes off. And in fact, a lot of the hostels like require you to take your shoes off before you come into like where all the beds and stuff are. And so I would put on my Birks afterward. And so I wore my Birks around after I was done hiking, and I would wear my tennis shoes hiking. And I think that, and for the most part, the water bottles, this isn't a great example, but I just used a regular water bottle. They're light. I left my like expensive hydro flask at home because that's heavy, and I would just use this, and I would either refill it like there was tons of watering stations along the way, so I would either refill it there or I would just buy a new one at the grocery store or a lot of restaurants. Like I would go to a cafe and ask for water, and they give you bottled water. They don't just give you tap water. And so they would just bring out a big bottle of water, and so I would just throw the empty one away and take the new one that they just brought me, and that would be, like, I just used the water bottles. And yeah, I think that's it. That is what was in my pack.